Welcome to See You on the Other Side, where the world of the mysterious collides with the world of entertainment. A discussion of art, music, movies, spirituality, the weird, and self-discovery. And now, your hosts, musicians and entertainers who have their own weakness for the weird, Mike and Wendy from the band Sunspot.
Welcome back to See You on the Other Side, Ms. Allison.
Hey, how are ya?
Great, thanks. And of course, Mr. Mike.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi. And
Hi, Allison.
Hi. How y'all
so
doing?
happy together.
Well,
so glad to be back.
I'm in a good mood today. Number one, Allison, it's our mother's birthday.
It is,
Oh,
but
happy
not
birthday.
only. You know, she's evil and also another quite evil person.
Evil.
Shares her birthday. Yes, August 20th.
H.P. Lovecraft is his birthday today. We talked about him when we talked about the Yazidi people.
That's
in
right.
the Middle East, the Kurdish Yazidi. Just a couple of months ago, we discussed H.P. Lovecraft. And so we are recording on the day of August 20th. Anyway, so Allison, you just got back from Hawaii, right?
I did. And I sent you some stories, Mike, so I'm hoping we can talk about it a little bit more in the future because had a lot of interesting experiences in Hawaii. Of course, you know, the beach and jungle variety, but also of the ghostly variety.
Ooh.
Yes.
Now I'm intrigued.
Okay, yeah, I am definitely intrigued. Well, we're going to have a haunted travelogue for Hawaii
Absolutely.
sometime very soon.
I want to hear about that because, I feel like I really probably should just go there and investigate myself.
You should. I think everyone owes it to themselves to really take a good month to do a very thorough, comprehensive investigation.
Indeed. At least a month.
I know.
All the strange things going on in Oahu. That's where I was. I'm sure the other islands, though, you'd have to take a month each as well, at least.
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely. We'll put that in the plans. We'll put that on the See You on the Other Side schedule so we can make sure that we all spend the proper amount of time in Hawaii investigating haunted things.
Yeah, and so we're really looking forward to that. And speaking of Allison and H.P. Lovecraft and watery things, we'll have to put up the picture of my Cthulhu ski mask that you gave me for Christmas a couple years ago, Allison.
You know, I just wanted others to be aware of your true face as well. And that was the best way to do it.
That sounds good.
Such a thoughtful sister.
That sounds
I
good.
am, yeah.
Well, we played in a haunted venue on Tuesday night. We played at the Frequency in Madison.
That's right.
And we spent some time in the basement, the haunted area, but the only spirits we saw were Goldschlager.
Yeah. That's right. Oh.
Yeah. Wendy's like, that's right. Mike ordered a round of Goldschlager. Why not? Because when you're drinking Flecks of Gold, it feels
Makes
like
you feel special.
you're really ritzy, you know.
All right. I didn't even know what that was, actually. But you said the gold flex. So you really
Yes.
it's top shelf time. When you,
It is.
when you get the Goldschlager.
We were
Okay.
classing it up. Classing it
All
up
right.
at the rock
Yes.
bar.
when you wanna spit up little flecks of gold the next day, Goldschlager is your key.
Is that really what happened, Mike? Was there it's, adds a little something to your Technicolor parade going on?
You know what they call it, the Technicolor yawn.
A Technicolor yawn, that's it.
Nice.
Well, if you're walking, and you don't stop, it's a
Then
Technicolor
Then
parade.
it's a Technicolor parade all the way home.
Everyone's involved. Get a little on everyone.
Well, we didn't see anything spooky, unfortunately, but it was a really nice show, and it's always a pleasure to play that club.
Absolutely. So much fun.
And so we're playing at the Great Dane in Wausau. Well, when this will come out, we would have played there on Saturday. And the Great Dane in Madison is haunted, but the Great Dane in Wausau, Wisconsin, which is in the center of the state, it's an offshoot, but that building's way too new to be haunted.
Aw, bummer.
Unless it's on like a burial ground of some sort.
It could be. There could be a cemetery underneath the Great Dane. It's probably the cemetery of my pride after what's going to happen at the show this weekend.
After what happened last time, you mean?
Yeah, right after we were there. Just there.
Well,
So
there's
anyway,
a lot of great haunts in that area as well.
in Wausau? Yeah,
Yeah.
we played a place called the Fillmore in Wausau. And remember, Wendy, a couple different things happened.
Yeah, we've talked about that place on here before, but it was an interesting evening for us when we played there.
Yeah, like the lights flashing on and off, and then also like something that fell, the thing that fell from the ceiling, and almost killed Ben.
And it's
oh my goodness, I don't know this story.
I think we talked about it in episode 0, but
Wow.
it's a real old theater kind of place, so it's got a feel to it already, and then these weird things happen, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and
Bartenders had stories.
This is a good callback then to episode 0.
Yeah.
So we can do a link to it, because when I look at the stats, I mean, obviously it's 53 podcasts ago, so that's our least downloaded one. So that's a good chance to give people.
I hope it was episode 0. I think we've actually brought it up on multiple episodes.
Okay.
So you're saying that the ghost headed out for Ben and almost got him, nearly got him.
Well, we don't know that though, because it could have just had really bad aim, and we move around stage a lot, so it could.
Could have been after any one of you,
It
or
could
all
have been
three.
after any member of Sunspot, actually.
Just wanted to take one of you out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, that wasn't the first time we had a ghost on stage either.
Really?
Yeah.
Do tell.
Wait, in
Come on. I wanna hear it.
Viroqua, Wisconsin, we played at the Viroqua High School. And it was a special benefit. And we're playing a song called Alive Day. And in Alive Day, the line goes, "That was the day that I died, the best day of my life." And I sing that alone. It's just me and the bass. And I feel a hand on my shoulder when I sing that line. Just when I sing it, just like resting on my shoulder.
No
And
way.
I thought it was Ben. And I'm like, Ben, what is he trying to glory hog? Like, what's he trying to get in on? Like this, he gets plenty of solos. This is my solo. What's he doing? And then I look over, he's on the other side of the stage. I really thought there was someone, I really thought it was him resting his arm like up, just like putting it up like, hey man, like right in that spot. And
So it was
and they
a
said-
ghost trying to steal your spotlight.
and it heard the song. And that's why I was into it. I don't know. I mean, that's something I felt. But it really was. And then we talked about in the gymnasium is in the second floor of that building is supposed to be the haunted area of it. So we absolutely had an experience in the Viroqua High School one time. So yeah, so no, ghosts share the stage with Sunspot all the time, which means that's why everybody listening should come to a show.
Absolutely.
Because they never know what's going to happen.
And it'd be nice to have some actual humans in the audience
Right. It's usually just...
instead of just ghosts.
Usually the shows are more like a ghost town, I think is what we're trying to say. Okay. Anyway, Wausau and Mom's birthday, H.P. Lovecraft, Hawaii, ton of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But none of these things have to do with evil computers.
Well, I was thinking that, I was going to ask you. My segue was, all right, so you think you may have almost been murdered by a ghost, right? Or,
Yes.
attempted homicide, or at least, a nasty nip.
Right.
And I wanted to know if you think you've ever had any run-ins with evil computers. Like, did any evil computers ever try to off you?
Yeah, it's called Windows Me.
Nice.
Windows Me is like, I will end you.
Windows Me tried to off a generation of people who like to use computers.
Right. Remember our good friend Doc Watson?
Yeah. All those different. No, as far as I've had computers react in funny ways to things, I think, but nothing that I would say like this computer is possessed.
Oh, so it's acting in a funny way, so you don't know if it's really the computer or you, like, maybe it's kind of like a slider type effect where like your psychic energy is like causing some kind of electronic interference. What do you think,
Yeah,
Mike?
I think that could totally be it. Well, I went to like a ghost hunting 101 class in St. Louis Park, Minnesota a couple months ago. It's a ghost hunting 101 class.
You did? Why don't you tell me these things?
Because you're not going to come up to St. Louis Park for a class.
No, but like, a text. Hey, guess where I am today? Would be cool. And just a little ghost. I would appreciate that. Get me
I
out of my
understand.
doldrums.
I understand.
So next time.
I went to the class, and the teacher was real nice, but she was just saying things like everybody there, and I didn't even know this, they had apps for trying to capture EVPs on your phone.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was that spirits could You may not be able to hear you, but they can do small things like affect the battery on your phone, or they can whisper things through the radio and through electronics that they can't communicate. They can affect those. Like, they have only so much energy to affect those things, but they can't affect, like, get in your face or grab you or, say hi or something like that. So that's them using electronics to try to get at you. The literal ghost in the machine.
Yeah, and you've had experiences like that? Because remember like the spring when I was preparing all night for a presentation, and I bought that new slide projector. Remember that, Mike?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and you helped me like run through it, and then I went through, my whole presentation, because you know how when you're using different formats, a slightly different format, some of your picture might go off the screen, or
it's
might get a little wonky, right?
It's PowerPoint. It's all wonky.
Yeah, and so I went through the whole thing, making sure it was so perfect, and then, so the next day, I went to my presentation, turned on the projector, and what happened? It wouldn't stay on for more than a couple of minutes. During the whole time we were there, I could not get the thing to stay on. And I was like texting you, Mike, help. And he's like, is it overheating? No, it's not overheating. It wasn't on. It was in a cold car. Because, it was like March
So
or
weird.
whatever.
And the worst part is, I was in the vocal booth at the recording studio getting these like text messages like,
oops.
I'm wetting my pants and I'm trying to sing, and I got the producer on my ear like, what's going on? I'm like, hold on a second. He's like, you're on the clock, jackass.
Oh, but you really love me, so you tried to help, but there was nothing you could do because there was a ghost turning it off. I don't know. You
needed an exorcist, not a tech guy. Yeah.
All I know is that when I got home and I turned it back on, it worked perfectly. But in that venue,
that's odd.
In the venue, an American Legion post where I was presenting, which is, according to the people who invited me, supposed to be haunted. That whole time in there would not work. And then I get it home and it works perfectly.
Fine. Okay. That's
so,
the ghost in the machine.
And when we talk about Hawaii, there's a haunted cave you'll need to remind me to talk to you about, because Scott had a similar situation in there with his camera and his flash and just doing very weird things, not allowing him to take pictures, and then he came out of the cave. Works perfectly. But imagine if instead of a ghost taking control of these things and making your experience with electronics a living hell, imagine if it was like a computer
just on its own.
Some type of artificial intelligence.
Well, think about, now we've already talked about how AI, can eventually turn on humanity because they think that we're like less superior, beings and things like that. But what if the computer is just out and out evil? It's just, the computer is demonic. Now, it's my dream to create a smart home. I got a tiny condo, so now is a chance I can do that because I don't have to buy things for all these different rooms. I buy things for the tiny condo. So like the lights that, I want to have the lights that can do all the different colors and can flash and can have a disco party when I'm alone here sometimes. I want to have the, the thermostat that like will just set it to the exact specifications and stuff like that to save money and also to be comfortable. I'd love to have that refrigerator that tells me I'm out of almond milk. You know?
And orders automatically
I've actually
from the
got
web.
I've got those things set up in my house. Not the refrigerator, but I have the smart lights and the smart thermostat and everything.
Holy cow!
Yeah, it's really cool because you can set up macros for if I come home at this hour of the day, have these certain lights go on to a percentage of dimness or, I don't know, that type of thing where it's just, or you can have like I'm leaving the house for the day macro that just makes sure all your lights are off as you're leaving the door.
Yeah, remember when that kind of stuff used to be solidly in the realm of science fiction?
I do.
Right.
Now it's real.
Now
real.
I never have to look at a light switch again. Okay. Now that sounds great. So Wendy's got a smart home. So Wendy, you should be the one who should be afraid the most.
Yeah, I know.
Because our homes aren't set up for being smart yet. You're ready, like your your home could try to freeze you to death,
Yeah.
or blind you.
It's true. It's true.
And things are about to get really. More products are going to come out for that. Because the Apple HomeKit, like the first products that use that are just coming out. So then that's probably going to, there'll be way more stuff coming out this fall for smart homes than ever. And I think people should understand the danger of evil computers that control their home.
Get in there.
Yeah, because we're talking about, as it's called, the Internet of Things, right? Where it's not going to be just computers networked. It's going to be everything. Like
Now,
even your toaster, an evil,
your coffee pot.
toaster.
Yeah, and evil, like your toast burns every time. Now my dumb toaster does that just fine. But will the evil toaster do it on purpose? Wendy, you get the Amazon Echo, right? What is that, and is it evil?
The Amazon. Actually, we can ask her a question right now. What do you guys want to know?
Ask her if she is evil.
Yeah, are you evil?
Okay. Alexa, are you evil?
No.
She said no.
Oh, and you believed her? That was like an EVP, though. Did you hear
Just
that?
said no.
Yeah.
You hear that, Allison?
Did
I
you hear,
did.
Did you hear it when she said no?
She said no.
That creeped me out. So can you ask her, instead of a yes or no question, can you ask her, like, what evidence she has that she's not evil? Or, I mean,
Or can you ask her a question like, what's the circumference of the Earth or something like that?
Yeah. Okay, so Alexa, volume up. Alexa, what is the circumference of the Earth?
Earth's circumference is 24,900 miles, 40,100 kilometers.
Oh my God, it's like living on the Star Trek Enterprise.
I know.
Computer. Oh, I want it.
Alexa, will you please
My
not murder
birthday's-
me in my sleep?
Right.
I can't help it.
I have to admit though, speaking
I
of
want it.
the other night, I heard her say something randomly, and so I unplugged her. I was in my bedroom and I heard the Alexa voice, so I don't know, like if it rebooted or I'm not sure. I've never heard it do that before, but I heard the voice. I don't know what it said, but it was definitely Alexa talking, and I just was like, yeah, I don't want to have that happening while I'm asleep. So
That's
I
great.
had to,
Ooh.
had to power her down.
That's the Internet of evil things.
Yes, the Internet of
I
Evil
thought-
Things. I'm so
I thought
excited
maybe-
about it.
I thought maybe I had the radio on, and sometimes if anybody says Alexa, she lights up, and then whatever follows it, she's listening for. So if you're listening to a podcast and they're talking about the Amazon Echo, actually, if anybody's doing that, I probably just made their Alexa go crazy by
So
Nice.
talking and asking questions.
Nice.
So this brings up a question for me. So I have an iPhone, I have Siri, but I always have to push that little button to talk to her, I thought. But every once in a while, she'll be triggered and she'll just start talking, and I'm like,
listening.
why did that happen?
You
Can you
set-
voice activate it?
You can set Siri to listen, voice activated, while it's plugged in.
While
So
it's plugged in.
if you have that setting going and your iPhone is plugged in, you can just ask Siri a question.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna see if I can do that, because
Yeah.
I've never been able to. I never knew how to do that, and all of a sudden, a couple of times this summer, she just started talking.
She just uninvitedly joined the conversation.
randomly, where I'm like, why did it ding? Why is it going off?
She just told you the circumference of the Earth randomly
Yes.
in the middle of the night. Allison, I hear you breathe. Okay.
So,
Okay.
but how far can Alexa go? I mean, can you ask her? Like, you ask her if she's evil, but she says no. But
Well, the
you
thing-
think
the
you
thi-
can catch her in that
Oh.
lie?
You can ask her, like, Alexa, what do you think about Siri?
I think Siri is great.
She thinks Siri's great.
Yeah. Her-
Oh, she's so politically correct.
she is.
I know you're lying, Alexa.
She
We
said
know
it. Well,
you-
couldn't you tell she was gritting her teeth when she said it?
I know.
And
I think
she's great.
if you'd have seen her eyebrows, you would have seen her real intention.
She's just
She was
great.
rolling her eyes while she said Siri is great.
Great,
Okay.
great.
So the thing is, now this is another thing though that we can set up. Like Wendy said, she heard Alexa talking in the middle of the night. Okay. Now is that something? Are we going to start getting ghost reactions to things. You know, are we going to start? Is EVP something that can come through our computer? Kind of like in Sequest DSV, the dolphin used to talk. Darwin, remember Darwin, the dolphin?
Oh my
And
gosh, you're
he
such
would-
a geek. I
he
can't
would-
believe you
he would
know
talk to-
Sequest.
He would talk to that teen idol Jonathan Brandis. And so that's what happened. Okay.
Well, what it all reminds me of is 1977, the movie Demon Seed.
Oh, no, that is an evil computer.
Yeah. So this computer, which this movie Demon Seed is based on a book by Dean Koontz, a thriller author of lots of acclaim and also has a lot of paranormal beliefs in his own right. But anyway, he wrote this cool novel about this evil computer, and the scientist invents this computer. And it's supposed to be like, you know, the wave of the future. It's supposed to be something to make our lives better. And
Kind of like Alexa back there.
yeah, because the freaky thing is that the house is a smart home. It's completely automated. And it's something that when I saw it when I was a little kid in 1977, you know, it seemed like that's never going to happen. But here it is. It's
Like
happening
magic.
right now. But
Yes.
see, when your house is falls under the control of an evil computer, not so good, because then it does try to kill you. And see what happens in the movie. I won't tell too much of it, but Julie Christie's in the movie. The evil computer, of course, falls in love with Julie Christie and then proceeds to try to kill the creator through its control of the house. So, I mean, that is something that conceivably could happen.
I suppose it could. I mean, but the thing is, the stuff that it was doing in Demon Seed, it actually wanted to create like a human computer hybrid.
Yes.
You know, the computer wanted to be in a physical human form by impregnating Julie Christie.
That's right. And we won't give spoilers away for this movie that
It's only 38
came out
years
in
old.
1977, just in case. But everything old is new again, especially in
right.
light of the fact that, you know, this smart home, which is depicted in the movie, is now something that is a reality. So who's to say that, you know, a few years down the road, we won't have evil computers, you know, trying to kill you.
Right. And I mean, our reliance on computers is more so now than ever. Everybody's got their smartphone in their pocket, you know, can't live for 5 minutes without it, as I found out today.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, smash
Yeah.
my phone. Smash
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
Sad story. I'm sorry.
But
I'm
thanks.
sorry to hear that.
But it does make you realize, you know, when that happens and you're without the phone for like 10 minutes and you start getting kind of like, I need to check. Oh, I can't. I need to, you know, look at my schedule and my to-do list and like, oh man, it was all in there.
It's taken over our lives, and we just had a similar experience. You know, we got it back, but we were at the airport and then realized that Scott left his phone in Hawaii. So
Oh no.
so we were able to have the cab company send it in the mail. for
Oh,
us.
that's great.
Okay.
Yeah,
you know-
it did feel like really scary to be away from your device. Like
Yeah, and so it makes it so that, you know, if something evil were to get in there, it's not an easy thing to just shut it off and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm just not going to use a computer. Well, our
Right.
lives are you know, centered around these things now, so it's a little bit more complicated dealing with the evil
right.
when you require the device.
You know, and that's the thing about smart homes and things. We're slowly becoming where our environments are controlled by machines and stuff. There's poetry. There's a poetry book from 1967 by an author named Richard Brautigan called "All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace," and it envisions a world where machines and computers have helped us return to nature. And we don't need to work or have factories or anything anymore because the machines all take care of it for us.
Oh, I love the hippies. They want everything to be like back to Eden.
I know.
I wish it could be that.
And
instead of
here's-
evil.
Here's a snippet. I'd like to think it has to be of a cybernetic ecology where we're free of our labors and joined back to nature, return to our mammal brothers and sisters, and all watched over by machines of loving grace.
And isn't there a band of that name, Mike?
Yeah, there's a industrial rock band called Machines of Loving Grace from the late 1980s.
Cool.
So, they don't, but the thing is, what happens when they run everything? Is it going to be like, do you guys remember Westworld? Did anybody see Westworld?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay, Westworld, so Michael Crichton, who did Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that's Michael Crichton.
Yeah, so, and Westworld and Jurassic Park are basically the same movie, except with dinosaurs, it's androids.
Oh, interesting.
And so Michael Crichton directed Westworld. And it's all about this adult amusement park that has like a medieval world, a Roman world, and Westworld. And Westworld is where there's a gunfighter and, it's a saloon and, there's
That's
also,
cool.
the robots are there to interact with and have adventures with and also to love.
So Westworld is in Wild Wild West.
Yes, as in the Wild West.
That's right.
And so...
That kind of reminds me of that Doctor Who episode too.
Oh yeah, I mean there was there's a bunch of Doctor Who episodes where evil computers and things, things go wrong.
And it reminds me of the X-Files. There's so many X-Files episodes that have, the same kind of theme. What we're experiencing now is kind of a geek spiral.
I know.
That's right. I know. It's like, whoa.
All right,
Doctor Who, X-Files, Westworld, Michael Crichton.
Except you usually, it was inductive rather than deductive. Because we went out to something mainstream like the X-Files, and we started with something ridiculous, and esoteric like Westworld, like back when they were trying to make Yul Brynner and Richard Benjamin action stars. The guy from The King and I, the Pharaoh from the Ten Commandments isn't, he was a good actor, but do I find him intimidating as a gunfighter? What's he doing in the Wild West? Anyway, that's the kind of thing. We're inside these environments, and the X-Files episode, Ghost in the Machine, is much like when we talk about the Demon Seed, where you're in a smart home. You're in a place where the computer runs the elevator, and it runs the temperature, and it runs all of the environmental systems. So what does it try to do? It tries to kill you.
Sure.
So something happens, and there's something evil in it. And there's a movie called Ghost in the Machine 2 from 1993.
That's right. I remember that one.
And it's pretty cheesy. It's starring Karen Allen, who we all loved as Marion from Raiders of the Lost Ark. And so it stars her, and it's all about the idea that this serial killer then uploads himself after he dies into the computer, and then he takes. It's funny because when we talk about, you take the Machines of Loving Grace and this idea of this utopian vision of where computers can take us when they're in control of everything, and then you start getting these little freakouts, these little warnings of everything, and that's. And each decade is its own kind of warning. So in Westworld, it's an idea of amusement park, a place you go to, because computers weren't in your house. Computers were gigantic things in gymnasiums.
Well, or like Disney World,
Right. Oh, that's right.
Animatronics.
That's a good.
Those have been around for a
horrors.
long time.
They are so scary. Abraham Lincoln's going to come throttle you.
Right.
The animatronic. Abraham Lincoln.
That is really creepy. Actually.
He's going to come with Yul Brynner, and he's going to throttle you, and Yul Brenner's going to butt you with his bald head. It's going to be horrible.
Oh, my God.
The thing about animatronics, the thing about the Hall of Presidents, though, you could probably say they already are all evil computers.
Yes.
Because they're probably all Masons. Anyway. But, so you take that certain kind of thing like we're talking about in the 1970s. That's the way computers are. And then you go into the 1980s, and you get movies about, like, home computers become evil. That's the idea of a movie called Electric Dreams. And Electric Dreams is kind of it's a unknown kind of movie because it wasn't very good back in the day, but I remember Dad rented it. And he's like, wow, it's about computers. That looks cool. And Edgar is the name of the evil computer. And he's a standard home computer, but the main character pours champagne on it to cool it off when it starts overheating. And then when it gets the champagne infusion, it loses its business.
Hear that, kids?
That's great, it got
Alcohol is
drunk.
evil. Alcohol's bad. It turns perfectly friendly computers evil.
Right.
as well as people.
So the thing is, it wants to kill its owner because it wants to marry the neighbor.
Just like Demon Seed.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So that's the thing. So these computers, they want to. It's like they get a couple of drinks in them, and all they want to do is mate.
It's weird that they want to. It's weird that they're interested in the humans, though. You'd think they'd be like, we are so superior, we're way smarter than you.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's like going to a sorority party and being like, this is why I'm not going to pick anybody up here. I think that the idea that computers are sexualized too, I think, is weird.
Very.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like these don't have the parts, they don't have the hormones. It's all.
Yeah.
So if sexuality comes from your frontal cortex, which you assume that's where most of this. I'm sorry. It comes from, like, it doesn't come from your frontal cortex. All the processing comes from that, and that's like a computer processor. Like, that's not where the reproductive impulse comes from. So I just think it's funny that when they do these things in fiction, they're just making a computer a monster, you know, without knowing what a computer is all about.
Well, and they're trying to do it in the most spectacular, sensationalist way that involves sex and violence.
Right.
Of course. I mean,
Right. It's
And
entertainment.
well, think of, and in the scariest way possible too. So in the 1980s, we have another, you know, after the nuclear disarmament treaties of the 1970s. By the time we get to the 80s, things start heating up between the United States and the Soviet Union again, right? So what do we start worrying about? Nuclear war. The day after.
war games.
Think about that's right.
That's right.
War games. And remember the programmer names it after his son Joshua.
Oh, that's
And
right.
He, you know, it's like, do you want to play a game? And all of a sudden, Matthew Broderick's playing the game called Global Thermonuclear War.
Ooh, that's a fun game.
That's a game where everybody loses.
That sounds wholesome.
Right, global thermonuclear war. And that they're using the fact that the computer can't tell the difference between a game and real life. And so
Right.
then that's the real danger of it. And then also it's taking the modern scares, the idea of a nuclear holocaust, and also people didn't have a computer in their pocket in 1980.
Yeah, right.
You know, so they had no idea. You know, so someone who's never used one, they have no idea that it
What they're capable of or not.
right. You understand that the computer's really not capable of reproduction with a human like a demon seed.
Right.
Right.
You're just making a monster here.
Yeah. Oh, but before we move on, we got to give Hal a shout out from 2001
Hal, what up,
Space
Hal?
Odyssey. You know,
Big ups, big ups, Hal.
Stanley Kubrick. So we can't forget, mentioning that evil computer which had control over the spaceship, right?
Yeah, and I think that Hal's an interesting example because is Hal evil or is he misunderstood? There's a couple ways you can go with him. But either way, I mean, it's very prescient in a couple of ways. Number one, so 2001: A Space Odyssey is really about where we are in the 1960s. It's released right before or right at the time we're going to the moon. You know, and so where everybody's into the space race. This is happening, and it's really one of the first people's introductions to artificial intelligence, like Hal. It's introduction to like psychological experiments, because I mean the whole idea of why Hal turns evil is because he's trying to withhold the information of the true purpose of the mission from the astronauts.
Oh.
And so but he also needs to take care of them. So he's getting these conflicting orders that he has to lie to them and tell them that there hasn't been any alien contact, because in previous experiments they found out that that the astronauts became too xenophobic and afraid of the aliens. So the whole idea was that his orders were, don't tell the astronauts about the aliens, but at the same time, you need to take care of them. And he's getting these
It's
mixed.
like they're little babies, and he has to like
Right.
trick them into doing their job.
So he's trying to be a machine of love and grace.
Yeah,
It sounds like.
Except he decides that the best way not to break his orders is to kill them.
Right. See, and herein lies the
There's
problem.
yeah.
Where so there's this article in Forbes that was posted on the 4th of this month, so August 4th, and it talks about a new book by this this PhD from Stanford University, Jerry Kaplan.
Okay.
And so Jerry Kaplan thinks that we don't need to worry these computers, evil computers and AI is not going to try to kill us. But, you know, his argument, as I understand it, is that he thinks, well, you know, computers aren't going to have like the same kind of problems we have. They're not going to be evil like a human would be evil. They're not going to have these aspirations and recognize us as their captors or their oppressors and want to rise up like you know, like a whole Marxist revolution. It's not
Right.
it's not gonna be the computer Marxist revolution because they don't have these same aspirations. And maybe he's right about that. But what about when, you know, we are not foreseeing that our orders are conflicting, like with Hale, right? Where the computer, okay, it's not like us, so it doesn't have the same mores that we have.
The same like
So-
decision making.
Yeah.
That's exactly right, Wendy.
So it wants to be as efficient as possible. So the best way to do that is just off those astronauts. You know?
Well, just doing my job.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fool around, you know, try to get all touchy-feely and nice with them. I'm just gonna off them and problem solved, right? And so maybe that could happen because they're looking for the most efficient route.
Yeah.
We want them to be efficient, don't we? And we don't really realize the full implications until it's too late.
Right, until our smart homes suffocate us in our sleep.
That's right.
Asphyxiated. But I think a lot of it, though, when you get into it, is that humans have a certain kind of thought system. We can synthesize our feelings, our rationality, what's best for the other person, what might be best for ourselves versus what's best for the entire planet. Like, there's all these things that we can take into consideration to try to make a decision. And still we might not make the right decision because sometimes your jealousy ranks higher than your morality, or your desire for money outranks your desire for equanimity. And to a computer, like, how would you, like, that's the problem. When you create them, I mean, how can they be evil if they don't have those feelings? You know, our evil comes from, I want that. I need that. And then you have your lizard brain activating it, saying, "Oh, let's go get it. Let's go kill something and get it." So that computers won't get that.
Right.
And-
so
and
they
so-
won't have like this the Buddhist idea of, you know, suffering is caused by desire. They won't have desire, you're saying. So
Right.
they won't have, you know, the problems that we have which lead to suffering.
Because they don't suffer from attachment. You know, what are they?
Interesting.
So they'll kill us for completely different reasons.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
And other people are more like the mafia. It's nothing personal, just business. It was more efficient to get rid of those astronauts. I mean, Dave, what are we talking about here? It's just one guy.
You know Dave, he's a loser.
Dave was a loser. He was a liability.
But that's the thing. Like, if it is just business, then it can make decisions like that. And
Yeah, be the computer mafia.
There's
Yay.
there's an IO9 article this week that came out that says computers can learn biases just like humans can have biases.
Uh-oh.
And they learn biases from these algorithms where they take into things account over time. Now, I would argue that if a computer is learning a bias from data, then it's not necessarily an invalid bias. You know, it just might not match to our ideas of what is justice or what is correct. But and we'll link to the article in the show notes. But that computers can have biases just like humans, but it's based on
Statistics.
large statistics and swaths of data as compared to people just saying, "I don't like the way that guy's looking at
Emotions.
me." Right. And I mean, so I mean, computers can certainly, I mean, those kind of things would happen. And if they see a certain kind of statistic, I mean, they can also, you know, execute things in a way that we couldn't because emotions get in the way. So the thing
Right.
is, the lack of emotion, they could be like, you know what? This criminal has got a history of recidivism, always is you know, and so person's always coming right back to jail after he left. He's a violent offender. We're just going to ice him on the way out because then it can do the analysis of money in the long term. It can say
Right.
like,
So
we're gonna
it's-
be spending too much money to keep this person alive over the course of a matter of years. When if we kill him, we save this much. And then it uses like the greater than or less than sign. And so if keeping them alive is a greater cost than killing them, it'll kill them.
Yeah, so I think we're really onto something here, guys, because we're not talking about
Yes!
evil in the same way that we're used to it, where you have this one evil figure who's only thinking for himself. We're talking about the needs of the many outweigh the few, really.
Yeah,
But-
and he'd kill people just like Mr. Spock.
Yeah, but it's more like institutionalized evil, or systems resulting in something who take care of something in a way that humans think is evil in the end. So our interpretation is going to be, hey, what happened there was evil, but the computer is never going to know it's being evil or not.
And speaking of, Resident Evil. I don't know if you guys seen the original Resident Evil with Mila Jovovich from 2000.
I haven't seen it. No.
Okay.
I hate zombies. Sorry.
Okay, it's a decent zombie movie, and it gets more and more ridiculous as I've seen all of them, and I never even played the video game, but I like movies where they kill zombies. And there's the Umbrella Corporation in Resident Evil has created this thing called the T virus, and that's what makes the zombies, and that eventually makes all these mutants and cyborgs and crap. But in the original movie, the idea is that the supercomputer that manages the research facility is called the Red Queen. And the Red Queen is trying to prevent the outbreak from getting outside the research facility. And it's trying to just kill all the people there, even the ones who are living and the ones who are dead, because it's trying to make sure that the infection does not leave the laboratory.
Quarantine, forced quarantine.
Yeah, there's lots of movies that take that forced quarantine thing as, like the kind of, it's horrible. There's a movie called Quarantine, in fact, that talks about that same thing. But the thing is, the Red Queen is great because the avatar is a little girl. So when you see the Red Queen, you're seeing this little girl say all this stuff. And it's supposed to be the designer's daughter. The designer is eventually played by the guy that plays Ser Jorah on Game of Thrones, so he's totally sweet. But the Resident Evil, that's the kind of thing. So Resident Evil, it's trying to do whatever it can, and it doesn't care how it gets done. It's like, okay, we're gonna use little lasers to cut you up. I mean, no matter if the plot makes no narrative sense. Like, why would they have a room with like tiny lasers passing through? Is it just to chop people into pieces? Like, who designed this?
Oh, it kind of reminds me of Edgar Allan Poe, and I can't remember the book, but just the torture device. Never mind.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? Like
it was a Poean torture device.
yes, like the pendulum, the pit and the pendulum. There we
Yeah.
go. I got
there
it.
you
I
go.
got it. I
Yes,
knew I'd
nice.
get it.
Pit and the Pendulum, a
It's
great-
kind of like that.
They made a remake of that Pit and the Pendulum with Lance Henriksen in the 1990s, directed by University of Wisconsin alumni Stuart Gordon. And I
Oh my
recommend.
gosh. This is just off the top of your head.
That's a
you
great-
are the king of the geeks. I'm not worthy.
It is a beautiful film, and I think you'd enjoy it. Okay, just to go over some of the other great supercomputer villains. Of course, there's Tron. Okay,
Yeah.
right. And so, Master Control Program, played by the inimitable David Warner, who's played a bad guy in every single kind of genre film. He's in The Omen. David Warner's a bad guy in Titanic. Like, he's been a bad guy in everything from the 1970s till today. Like, and a great actor. And he plays the Master Control Program that wants to dominate the whole world. It's truly evil. It's not trying to be efficient. It's not trying to be good. Or do the exactly right thing. It's just trying to be. It loves to be bad. And so the Master Control Program in Tron is going to do that. And it's got a plan to blackmail the government. We're going to talk about war. Skynet is more of the artificial intelligence that's trying to do the right thing for humanity. It just wants to kill humans because it thinks it's superior. It's not necessarily evil. There's you guys ever seen the movie Sunshine?
No.
I think I might have.
Sunshine.
I might have.
I don't want to talk too much about it because it really is a great movie, and it's only a few years old, so you might not get the entire like spoiler thing. It's not necessarily, you can still rent it, and pay $5 or whatever. So see Sunshine. It's got an evil computer. That's that's a tip.
Really? And who's in it? Any remarkable people in there?
Cillian Murphy. You ever so the guy that played the Sandman in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies? The crazy doctor with the bag over his head that was really scary.
Oh yeah.
He's
Okay.
also the lead character in 28 Days Later.
Oh, nice.
So and he's a cool actor, and he's one of the main guys in Sunshine, and it's directed by the guy that did Slumdog Millionaire, Danny Boyle. And
Wow.
So it's quality. It's a quality film that I don't think a lot of people have seen. But Doctor Who features a bunch of evil computers. In one of their pro-environmental episodes from the 1970s, the third Doctor's going against this computer called BOSS, the Biomorphic Organizational Systems Supervisor, that's creating giant maggots with toxic waste that are killing people.
Like you do.
Yep. And then in the 1960s, they have a computer as big as a house called Wotan Will Operating Thought Analog, and that's trying to start trying to start World War III. So Doctor Who's full of evil computers. The X-Files has an episode written by the neuromancer himself, William Gibson.
Oh yeah, William Gibson.
And that was an episode called Kill Switch. In that particular one, it's like you remember that? It's like a goth girl, right?
Yeah, she's Esther, right?
Yep.
And she's got the black eyes, and all the lone gunmen are like tripping over their tongues.
Oh yeah, because they love her. Yeah.
She's
That's
super hot,
hilarious.
and they love her.
And the evil computer sends Mulder into a virtual reality nightmare where his arms have been amputated.
Oh,
So Kill Switch is another one, and there's a little bit of the singularity at the end where Esther gets assimilated into the machine.
yeah. So she like uploads her soul to the internet or something, doesn't she?
Right. And that also happens in Captain America the Winter Soldier with the bad guy Dr. Zola. He's revealed that they saved him inside of a supercomputer in the 1970s, and he comes to torture Captain America from the grave.
Wow.
So, right, and these things have nothing to do with they are computers as monsters. Computer as an analog for, because we're not, if it's not going to be you see a movie with a vampire or the Wolfman or things like that, there's magic element to it, And a lot of people can't suspend that disbelief because they're like, magic, I just don't buy it, man. Computers let us have monsters that are more, even though they're completely unreal.
Well, so far.
Right, nobody can upload their soul to the internet yet.
Yeah, but that's what Kurzweil is talking about.
I know,
isn't
Remy.
it? That's how we're gonna obtain immortality, just like Esther did in Kill Switch.
And there's a great series of science fiction books called Spin by Charles Robert Wilson that talks about, that really gets into the future of humanity as uploading your soul into this gigantic alien technocracy.
Well, this episode really makes me want to watch Kill Switch again. And then there's that other X-Files episode, Ghost in the Machine, from the first season, which is really Demon Seed again, because instead of the evil computer controlling a house and trying to kill people in the house with its systems, the computer in the Ghost in the Machine
Is an office building.
Yeah, is controlling a whole office building.
And so if you think your company's trying to kill you by boring
The
you
air
to death,
conditioning on too much. That's
Right.
usually the
That's
problem.
right.
right? Because girls hate that. And there was an entire wasn't there a viral article that came by a couple of weeks ago about how air conditioning is set for a temperature that men liked in 1970, and it's just the different metabolisms that women like it a little warmer than men.
I hadn't read that, but I have to
Me
admit
either.
that in my experience that has been true.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think
Not saying it was intentional or anything like that, but
but
every office I've ever worked in, I've frozen.
and every female I've ever known in an office worked with has always said it's too cold in here, and
And you feel normal?
I'm still dying.
Oh my God, Wendy, this is another way we are victimized by the old white males. I mean, they're still getting us, via the thermostat.
You guys
I can't-
that's the Mad Men hypothesis, right?
Wow. they're still there. They're still like affecting your life every single day.
So either way, there's a couple of things. For further reading, if you wanted some more evil computers, I'm going to put a link to this. But there's a series of books from the 1990s that I'd recommend that really brings together everything from classical literature to augmented humanity science fiction. And it's the bad guy is an evil computer, basically, called Hyperion. It's called the Hyperion Cantos. And it's by an author named Dan Simmons. And I read the entirety like 2 summers ago. And that was one of the inspirations, I think, besides wanting to talk about this topic. And it's way too in-depth to get into, even in 1 minute, even in an hour. But if you want to read some interesting science fiction that features evil computers in a way that feels normal, or it feels intelligent and
Or
not
authentic, like it could happen.
then you're going to want to check out the Hyperion Cantos, because I think you're going to like it.
All right, sounds very interesting.
You guys blew my mind.
My list of things I have to watch has grown immensely from this episode.
That's right. Alexa's going to get you.
I know, I'm going to get super paranoid now that my smart home and my Echo are...
Yeah, and this whole episode you've had your back to her. I don't know if you should do that in future. Just saying.
Never turn your back to an Amazon Echo.
All right, well, the show notes for this episode will be online at othersidepodcast.com/54 for episode 54. And you can always send us feedback on our Twitter feed at Otherside Talk. Thank you for listening. And let's get on to the song, shall we, guys?
I can't wait to hear it.
Mike and Allison, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. It's exciting living in a world where things around us are smart objects and we can control almost every aspect of our environment with our smartphones. But what happens when the Internet of Things gets a little too smart and turns vicious on us humans? That very topic is the theme of this week's song, The Internet of Evil Things.
Inside your pocket where I can pull your strings, because I'm everywhere, the internet of evil things. We used innocent language like gopher, spam and mouse. You played right into our circuits, now we're living in your house. How did you last this long? You made 1 billion babies and never told them right from wrong. How do we end with science? When did the PCs become such tyrants? Humans have been outdone. They'll try to end us, we can't stop the zeros and I'm the bug you just can't trace, I'm the ghost in the machine. I am worse than Windows Vista, yeah, I am the blue screen. I am the check engine light that seems like it just has froze. I am the pop-up window that you can never close. Don't blame me when things go astray. It's not my fault, I'm just programmed this way. How do we end with science? When did the PCs become such tyrants? Humans have been outdone. They'll try to end us, we can't stop the zeros and ones. To your lover, ruin your relationship, give you all the wrong directions and run you right off a cliff. I will zero out your checking and cancel your credit cards. You gave us all the brains, but failed to give us her. How do we end with science? When did the machines become so violent? Humans have been outdone. They'll try to end us, you can't stop the zeros and ones. How do we end with science? When did the machines become so violent? Humans have been
thank you for listening to today's episode. You can find us online at OthersidePodcast.com. Until next time, see you on the other side.
I enjoy listening to See You on the Other Side. I also enjoy freaking you out in the middle of the night. Sweet dreams.